Hey there, it's Sunday morning, and I've got a cold. The first time in about, I don't know, 10 years. I've got a cold. I don't know where I got it. If it's not a cold, it's something very similar to a cold. Anyway, underwater feeling in my head, stuffed up, runny nose, all that stuff. Anyway, so even though I might sound a little bit funny, I probably look okay, because that's one of my problems. I never look sick. I could be dying and I'll never look sick. Anyway, so that's enough sympathy for me. This morning's project on my main channel, I just released it about an hour ago, is building a new table for my bandsaw from aluminum. But to start off the video, I actually changed the bandsaw from the gear drive that I put in last time back to a belt drive, except with a twist. The twist is that I made the pulleys, I 3D printed them. And you might be saying, well, that's crazy. Why the heck would you do that? Well, okay, I can do that kind of thing because I'm not counting on this tool for production, okay? If you got a tool, like if you've got a shop, a paying shop that's putting out products, you know, you're doing commissions or you're building a certain thing and you need a bandsaw that's reliable, then that's not an option, okay? Your best bet, and I've said this many times before, is not to build your tools, it's go buy the best that you can. And, you know, maintain those and repair them when they get broken, or replace them, you know, regularly, because it pays. And it doesn't pay to have breakdowns on homemade tools. Not to say that homemade tools are inherently unreliable. They aren't. It's just that, okay, in my instance, I'm running experiments to see what's possible. Okay, so the 3D printed table that this aluminum table replaces was an experiment to see how well it could go together with just being 3D printed, because you can take a 3D printed design and embed something in it that will add a huge amount of stiffness to it, like pieces of metal. You can actually design in reinforcement for the part that you need to be stronger, very much like concrete has, okay? And so as it's printing up higher and higher, it reaches a certain point where you take a metal bar or even a piece of threaded rod or something like that and put it in, or you could just fill it with epoxy, pause the print until the epoxy sets up, and then, you know, finish the print. That would add a lot of strength to it. That's the way of getting around the problem of having too much flexibility in the 3D print. But I didn't do any of that with the pulleys that I printed here. They're printed from Petchy, and like I said in the description of the video, probably the biggest advantage of that kind of a thing is that you don't have to go searching through McMaster Carr or any other place looking for a specific size pulley with a specific size shaft and a specific size keyway. You can design all that and print it and have it in a couple hours. Anyway, so that's enough about the 3D printed pulleys. You're probably wondering about the title of this video, how I wasted the best years of my life on YouTube. And that's a little bit of hype, but not really, because I want to talk about something specific to people making content on YouTube. All right? And if you're thinking about doing that, thinking this is the charmed life, you might want to keep watching. My point with saying that I wasted my best years on this is that rather than building a YouTube channel, which I did, over 1 million subscribers on my main channel. I built four YouTube channels. Most of those have over 100. Well, I think 3 of them have over 100. And like my main channel has over 1 million. Anyway, so a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of work to do that. But the better strategy for that, if you're going to do anything, is to build a real business, that's not to say being a YouTube content creator, it's not a real business, because it is, but build almost like a sales business or some other brick and mortar type business, and use the YouTube channel or social media to promote it. So what you have when you reach the end of the line, which for me is around about now. I mean, I've been slowing things down for about a year with the idea of semi-retirement. But the problem is that when you put all your effort into the YouTube thing and don't have anything that relies on creating content constantly, the grind, then you're going to see a severe reduction in revenue. And that's what I've noticed over the past year. My earnings from the videos has gone steadily downwards. Now, I'm not complaining. Don't think that I'm complaining here. I'm not, because I knew full well that was going to happen. But I just want to make people aware of what you're up against when you do something like that. Okay. If you take, I've been on YouTube since 2011, roughly, and that's 14 years, roundabout, and almost every day devoted to that over the first 12 years. And then I started to taper off a little bit, relax a little bit. But if you take that same amount of time and you put it into a real business that you're actually good at, instead of trying to become good at something that you may never become good at. And that's the reality for most YouTube creators. I think I seen or heard something that the average video gets less than 50 views. Less than 50 views, the average video on YouTube. So it can be quite a tough nut to crack. So if you were to take that, say 14 years, and actually put it into a business that after 14 years, you don't have to be at the helm, because there'd be other people that would be running things. That would be a much better use of your time. Okay. That wasn't in the cards for me. I knew, okay, I came out of how many years? Around about the same amount of years being self-employed, doing the doors and hardware and installing cabinets and stuff like that. Okay, the carpenter thing, all right, but on the commercial side of things. I did some residential way back around 2000. I built a house, big house for this guy, and that was so stressful and so annoying. So I'm going to do that anymore. So yeah, I built a business there doing that. And honestly, that business persists today because my brother took it over and he's still doing it. And, the revenue keeps coming in because you still have business. The gold customers are still there. They still need the work done, right? Whereas on YouTube, after you reach a certain point, and if you're not super into playing the game that is YouTube now, with the trying to get the most clickbait title and thumbnail you possibly can on your video so you can get the eyeballs on it, because of this, it's like a steady flood of content coming down now. It's not like 14 years ago when there was like almost nothing in comparison. Today it's a steady flood. I mean, it's a deluge of content coming down. So there's an overabundance of content, and in order to get eyeballs on your video, you have to use clickbait. You have to. I mean, there's no way of getting around it. If you're in a situation like me, where you're an older channel, you've got an older subscriber base, half of those or more are probably not into woodworking anymore because, okay, this is kind of niche, and people lose interest in things, okay, and they move away. And what YouTube does, and I've said this many times before, is it judges how popular your video is by how many of your subscribers, on a percentage basis, is my guess, click on the video when it first comes out. So if a very low amount of people that are subscribed to your channel click on the video, that tells YouTube that this is not good. We're not going to recommend this. In fact, I know from my channel, in order for it to be recommended to a wider audience, I have to hit something like 50,000 views from my subscribers. So that doesn't happen to me anymore unless I really amp up the clickbait and really have something that's gonna, they absolutely have to click on it. And this project here, although it's cool, and I really enjoyed doing it, is not it. I had to take a coughing break, had a little bit of a fit there, and my face turned beet red and all that. But I want to end out this video by talking about the shed build that I did. The shed is mostly done. There's still some details left to do, but I think there are 8 exclusive videos on my Patreon page that won't show up here, won't show up on my main channel. If you're interested in checking that out, you can become a supporter on Patreon. And the reason why they're exclusive and on Patreon is to reward the people that have supported me over the years. Like I've got supporters that have been around for 10 years or longer, I think. Or at least as long as I've had the Patreon page, it seems. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, it doesn't, like that support doesn't, like it's not, you know, paying my bills or anything, but it's making extravagant purchases like the aluminum that I use for this project here very possible, because I bought 2 sheets of this aluminum and that was over $1,400 for that alone. That's a substantial investment in what I consider the next 2 years of projects, occasional projects. I'm not all in on aluminum. You're not, like, I'm not going to be doing just aluminum projects from now on, or metal projects from now on. I'm going to be mixing in some woodworking as well. My next video, actually, for the main channel, will be building a door for that shed. Okay, that will not be an exclusive video because I think that will do well. Because I think I can make that interesting enough to put on the main channel. Whereas the shed build itself, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of those everywhere. I'm probably done better than I've done there. I did this shed specifically for what I want to do there. It's not really a very practical shed because one side of the roof slopes down very close to the ground. It's almost an A-frame on one side. Okay, that's because I want a lot of roof there for a lot of solar panels that I'll be putting on there. And, you know, I tried to do it as frugally as I possibly could. So that won't tickle very many people's fancy either. Unless you can put it in the title. I made this shed for $2. And then you get all the looky-loos going in. Oh, I'm going to have a shed that looks fantastic for $2. And you know what? They believe it. It's crazy. And they get upset when they find out it costs more than $2.